So, Tanya, so much for being here. It's really a pleasure to have you on this interview. Can you maybe like tell the viewers a little bit more about yourself, how you started running and those kind of things?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be asked at all. So, well, my name is Tanja and I'm from Norway. I love to run, obviously. I'm a front runner for Essex, for the Norwegian team. And I started running, I ran my first marathon in 2015. That was like kind of like by accident, or what I should call it. Like, I would like to see
How can
if
you like run a marathon by accident?
it was like, okay, is it possible for me to finish a marathon? Like,
Mhm.
I liked the idea of it, but was not like running that much. I had like finished one half marathon 6 months before and had not been running much after that, like intervals on the treadmill, but running was not my main training. So I decided to like, okay, let's try for a marathon, see if it's possible to finish a marathon. So I signed up for the Barcelona marathon and I finished the marathon. It was painful. Every kilometer after 21 was like a new distance record, and that was like kind of fun during the race and not so fun after the race. But it was a great experience, and it was like you feel like you're invincible when you cross the finish line. So
Yeah.
then it became like a yearly tradition. So I've come back to Barcelona each year after that.
But you're
And
also running other marathons in between, right? It's not the only
no,
marathon
it's
you're
not the
running.
only one. Like, yeah, during the years, my love for running has like grown a lot. And then I started to train more like structured and started to care more about my results also. But also I like to like have good experiences and not only think about my pace and new records. So I set another goal to run 40 marathons before turning 40. And then I have the opportunity to like travel and see new cities and focus on other things and only like, yeah, results.
Yeah, because you ran the New York Marathon, if I recall
Yeah.
correctly, in a Superwoman pack.
Yeah. So that was my first marathon in a costume. It was
Uh-huh.
really fun. I
Uh-huh.
ran with Fabio, who's also a front runner from Essex. He's from Portugal. So we decided to run together as superheroes. He was Spider-Man and I was a Wonder Woman. And that
And
was so much fun.
how was that experience? Wasn't it difficult to run with a costume?
Yeah, it's like I had used the costume once before at a Halloween party a week before. So I knew it fitted okay, but I had not tried to run in it. And it was really hot in New York. And it was always slipping from my shoulders here when I was sweating. And yeah, it was not so comfortable, but the experience was great. Like you're running there and people are cheering for you. They're like shouting Wonder Woman, Superwoman. And to be like have a crowd cheering for you like personal like that was like something I've never experienced before. And it was like kind of touching when you're running the marathon and you're tired and all so many emotions going on. So
Yeah.
yeah, great experience.
But because I know you obviously, and I know you do like a lot of these running events, like a lot of marathons. But how do you do it? Like run so many marathons and so many distances without getting injured?
I do get injured sometimes, but maybe not like severe injuries. Some injuries like if you run after a lot of like years, your body kind of adapts to what you do. So you get like better at running longer distances and you can increase the volume. And also I've been focusing on doing strength training like every week, and that has helped a lot to, yeah, even if it's not my main interest, I've learned that you have to do it to, yeah, you become a stronger runner, but also to prevent injuries. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
And if I do have some pain or anything, I try to take care of it like immediately. So I go to a physiotherapist and fix it before it like becomes severe.
Yeah, because I saw that you have a new big goal coming up, like the 24-hour run. Can you tell us
Yeah.
a little bit more about that? Because that just seems like crazy, to be honest.
It is crazy. It is like totally crazy. And I've run like one 24-hour race, and that was in 2021. And it started because of Corona. Like when Corona came over us, like it was you could not travel, you cannot attend
Mhm,
races, and I missed running and attending races. And we had a 24-hour race, which is called 24 Hours in Hell, in, in a small place like 30 minutes from Trondheim, where I live.
mhm.
And so I decided to like, okay, 2020 was a year when I completely like got injured. I had some lack of motivation. And in 2021, I decided that now I have to stop feeling sorry for myself. I have to find back to the
So let's just
strength and
so let's just run like 24 hours right now.
yeah.
I
So I decided I
mean,
have to have
hmm?
some big goal. So this race was not so far. And so, okay, you don't have to travel so far. It's in Norway. It is something crazy, different, that maybe like a goal that scared me. So,
Mhm,
yeah, so I attended that race. It was crazy. And yeah, I don't know how to even describe it. Like a 24-hour race is something, you have so many emotions, you have all these highs and all these lows. And I think people actually like do drugs to experience highs and lows like that.
uh-huh.
And with an ultra, you can like experience it in a natural way. So I would recommend people to do it because you will learn so much about yourself. And yeah, and your kind of inner strength, and you can do so much more
Mhm.
than you can ever imagine before you're like put in a situation where you have to handle it your way.
Because
So it was a
how do
good
they
experience.
organize it as well? Is it like a loop you have to do the whole time, or?
Yeah, that was like a loop, 1 kilometer loop, and every 4 hours we change direction. So you have this support zone when you put all your stuff, so food, drinks, clothes, shoes, anything.
Mhm,
So that's like easier to do than if you go for an ultra in the mountains, you have to carry all your stuff. Here you can just leave it there and only think about getting forward and running.
just
And
keep on
then
running.
you don't
Whatever
even have to
happens, just
think.
keep on running.
Yeah, just like this loop, so you don't have to like watch a map or where are you going, you just continue in this loop.
Mhm.
No
But
brain at all. And that's kind of good because after like some hours you do not have the ability to think clearly anymore.
mm,
And you kind of lose it a bit. So keep it simple, stupid. If you want to try to run really long and you're not like an experienced ultra
mhm.
runner, a loop can be like a good solution to try.
But and I can imagine a lot of people also are wondering, how did you do it then with food? Because I mean, I know that if you do so many hours of running, you need a lot of food and you need to have like
Mhm.
kind of an idea of what you're doing. So what was your kind of strategy? Like you were just eating, I don't know, pizza and whatever along the way, or
Wow. Um, I got actually a lot of advices from more experienced ultra runners. But how do you do? What do you do to not get like stomach cramps and all? Because I have a sensitive stomach. So the first thing that I do is that I take like a medication. It's called Imodium. So you don't
Mhm,
have to go to the toilet like in the same way. So you're
mhm,
able to eat more and don't have to worry about getting cramps in your stomach. And
mhm,
also I had like gels that I took like every 4 rounds. I took a half a gel and some sports drink like the Powerade, Gatorade.
mhm,
And also I had to bring like I had this pasta in a cup. So you only add like a boiling water.
mhm.
And then I just for that rounds when I was eating, I was just like walking. So running, and then when I was eating, I just walked to get another round. And yeah, that's what I brought. And also had some snacks, chocolate stuff. And at the end of the race, two of my girlfriends, they came with burgers from Burger King. So I actually ate cheeseburgers as well.
Mm. I mean, why not? You just need the energy at that point. So
Yeah. So you eat whatever you like, and that you know that your stomach can handle well. and bring different stuff, because the things that you like in a everyday life might not be the things that you like when you're really tired, maybe nauseous and stuff. So bring different stuff, but salty stuff works for me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same goes for me. Like, I'm really not that big of a fan of like too much like gels and bar, because they're always super sweet, and after a while I'm like, "Ugh, another sweet
Yeah.
thing." So what actually really works for me are like the cookie, like the salted cookies, like the pretzels and stuff. I
Yeah,
really like
that's
that.
perfect.
Yeah. Or even a peanut butter sandwich, but then also like to put some salt on it.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit more salty, you know? But yeah, doing that 24-hour race, I can imagine that you're like maybe thinking about other ultra events, or you're more towards sticking to the marathons.
It's hard to say. Like, you should never say never. After running my first half marathon, I thought that was like the end of it. Like, it was so hard and I didn't train for it. So I was like, no, never. How can people run marathons? And 6 months after, I ran my first marathon, and now I ran like 20 marathons. So I'm going to try for the 24-hour race again this June. And my goal is to do 100 miles. Otherwise, I have not planned anything else than marathons, but we'll see if a nice race shows up or someone gives me the idea of doing it, which usually is how it starts. Because I've run 2 ultras in the mountains, and that started with like a coworker challenging me to do it. And I was like, okay, can I do this? So I just like to try new things. And yeah, if you give me some crazy idea, I might like do it.
But I mean, you obviously have a lot of luck as well with your running, and everything is going so well. But yeah, it's not just like running, you know, it's also a lot of effort you put in it. So how does your like weekly training schedule looks like, more or less? I mean, I know it changes quite often, but how does it normally look like? Because you also have a full-time job, so you have to combine everything.
Well, I prefer to do my workouts in the morning. That's just what I'm used to. I like to start the day with a run and like get all these endorphins and the energy.
But at what time? Because like morning is quite, because I live in Spain, and I know like if I say like to do something in the morning, people say like, oh yeah, let's meet at like 10 or something. But
That's
if
late
I go to,
morning.
yeah, if I go to another country, it's like morning, it's like, oh yeah, let's meet at 6 or like 7. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, late mornings, like what you're describing, is the best. That would be like optimal. But however, if you have a Monday to Friday work when you have to be like at the office in the morning, I cannot go for like 10 in the morning. So it can be anything from like 5 in the morning to 7 in the morning.
it's just like how
It depends
casually
on the
you say,
distance.
you say it so casually, like 5 in the morning,
Yeah.
7 in the morning, like, you know.
Well, it's kind of crazy, but that's one way to like make time for it. And also because I love to start the day, because in the morning for me it's like the only obstacle is that you're tired, but that kind of like fades when you start. You get outside, you get fresh air, and then you kind of wake up naturally. But like later during the day, if I've been at work, I might be stressed about something and I don't feel like the same energy. It's like I've used some of my energy already, and then I have to like work even harder to find the motivation to start. So for me, like the morning is optimal. I'm only tired, and that is easier to overcome than like stress and other things that might come up during the day. You never know what's going to happen.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. So
And so
how,
like the week is I do like various training, and now I have a coach, which is also a teammate of mine from Essex, Anders, and he helps me. And I have like usually like 6 different workouts, and some might be like easy long runs, and then I might have some intervals, which can vary anything from like 4 kilometers intervals, 2 kilometers, or I can have a long run, which is like have different parts of it. Like you start 2 kilometers in one pace, and then you progressively like increase the pace, next 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, 5, and then totally it may be like 25 kilometers workout then. And some shorter, like 10, 12, some might have some sprints inside, like you have a warm-up first, and then you do like 10 200-meter sprints. So it's a various plan, and I like it that way. So I don't do the same thing every day, and then I can also plan when I see how my week is at work, when do I have the time to do the long run, when is it best to do the intervals. And also I live in Norway, and the weather during this time of year is like,
I just wanted to ask you, like, how you do it. Like, I'm even already cold in the morning here in Spain, and we barely touch like 0. So how do you do it in Norway with all the snow and the cold? And
you get used to it, and also you just have to like dress properly, like, so you use like wool underneath, it keeps you warm. And when you start running, you also get warmer, so just wear good clothes for winter activities. And also I do like the harder sessions inside because I have like this asthma. So for me, like running really hard, if it's like minus 10 degrees, it's not good for me. So then I do like maybe intervals on the treadmill, and then I do easy long runs outside, because I think the long runs are boring in the treadmill. But if the weather is like horrible outside, I've learned to do that as well on the treadmill. So I've run like 25 kilometers on the treadmill. Like, you do what you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, and for me personally as well, I hate the treadmill. I absolutely hate it. So like, how do you do it, like 25 kilometers on a treadmill? Like, do you have a secret you want to share?
The first thing is that you have to like decide that you're going to do it, and then you start like to visualize how you're going to complete it, and then you just stick with that idea in your head, I'm going to do this. And then as I said, some of the sessions might be like different pace and all, and then it's easier. You have 2 kilometers, and then 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers, and then you have like some kind of variation, and that helps. Like running 25 kilometers on the same pace would be a lot harder to do than if you have some changes during your workout.
Yeah, because
then also just like put on my favorite music, and maybe I even time the music, like, okay, I'm going to run faster, I'm going to have those songs there, and that helps me to get through it.
Yeah, but I'm also the same. Like, if I have to like do a really tough interval, and I'm like, okay, so first, like, I don't know, like 2 kilometers warm up, okay, those songs, and then around that time the intervals will start, so I really need to put on my good songs. So it helps. It just,
music helps a lot.
Well, thank you already so much for like all of your tips. Then if you would have to give like one piece of advice to like every, I don't know, like starting experienced runner, what would it be? Like, what would be your super tip to give?
Oh, wow. I'm not prepared for it at all. But maybe it's that you don't be afraid to try. Like, if you're new and you might be scared of like doing marathons because you have this idea that you have to be an experienced runner to attend marathons, you have to run on a specific pace or something. Don't be afraid to try. And you have so much more inside of you that you think, or that you're able to see at the moment, and keep going. Like, that's maybe the most important, even for beginners and more experienced, that life will happen. Sometimes it might be your work or things in your personal life that will like interfere with like conditions being optimal for doing whatever you're doing, but just keep going. And if you have to slow down, you slow down, but you just keep doing what you do. And yeah, I think that's important, like to have consistency. And to like be kind to yourself, though lower your expectations when life is harder, but don't lose like your love for running or your
I think that sometimes what people forget is like they're so focused on their goals, like they have to do this or that they focus on like the actual sport itself, because they only focus on, okay, I want to run in this time, or I want to run this distance. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing is actually that you like the sport, and not just like the goals or what you can achieve or whatever.
To do it for yourself, like to feel better, for your mental health or whatever, like some periods of your life will like require you to switch focus, to not
True,
lose
true.
like your
And
motivation.
running can absolutely help with that. I mean, in
Yeah.
my experience, it really does help with that. Okay, Tanya, I want to thank you so much for all the tips you have given us.
Thank you so much.
If people want to follow you on your 24 hours in hell and all those adventures,
Yeah.
I will just list your Instagram profile below so they can easily find you back. And yeah, I'm also really curious to see what else you will be achieving. And as I already told you before, we will be seeing each other in Barcelona during the marathon.
Yeah.